All right, so you're prepping for a medical device engineering technician interview, huh? That's fantastic. We're talking pacemakers, MRI machines, the stuff that really makes a difference.
Definitely impactful stuff. And it's a competitive field, so.
Yeah, for sure. But you're already showing initiative just by being here, ready to learn. So let's make sure you stand out from the crowd. We're going to do a deep dive today into real interview questions.
The kind that come from RoleCatcher's database.
Oh yeah, they've got like over 120,000 of them, right?
That's right, a huge pool of real-world examples.
So we're going to unpack what each question is really getting at, and give you some strategies to not just answer, but really impress.
And we'll also sprinkle in some career insights from RoleCatcher's guide just for this role, so you're well-rounded.
Plus, we can't forget that sprinkle of RoleCatcher AI magic to help tailor your prep even more. But first, let's get a feel for what this job actually entails.
Okay, so a medical device engineering technician is super important in healthcare. I mean, you're working directly with engineers, building, installing, and maintaining all kinds of medical equipment.
Real hands-on work.
Yeah, totally hands-on. And it has a direct impact on patient care.
And speaking of impact, the career guide mentions that the job outlook is looking pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it is. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects about 4% growth over the next decade, which is pretty much on par with the average for all jobs.
So that's a good sign.
Definitely a good sign. It's a growing field with a ton of potential. Are you ready to jump into some interview questions?
Absolutely. Oh, bring them on.
Ah.
All right, the first one up from RoleCatcher's interview guide is, describe your experience with medical device design and development.
Classic.
It seems pretty straightforward, but what are they really trying to get at with this one?
This is usually one of the first questions they'll ask, you know? It's a way for the interviewer to kind of gauge your overall experience, but also how well you articulate your work.
So don't just like rattle off a list of every project you've ever worked on.
Right, exactly. It's about quality, not quantity. Pick a project or two that really highlight the skills that are directly relevant to this role and, make it interesting.
So like, what were some of the key things you did in the design or development process? Were there any challenges that you had to overcome? Or maybe you came up with a really innovative solution? Those are the things that'll make your experience come alive.
Definitely make it a story and not just a list of facts.
Totally. So what kind of follow-up question might they ask after that?
Well, they might ask something like, can you elaborate on your specific role in that project? Or maybe, what were some of the key takeaways from that experience? They're looking for depth here, how you reflect on your work.
That's where RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be so helpful. It analyzes your responses and then gives you suggestions for improvement, like you've got this personal coach helping you refine your answers.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to question number 2. How do you ensure compliance with regulatory requirements when designing and developing medical devices?
Ooh, this one sounds pretty serious. What are they really looking for here?
This one goes straight to the heart of the medical device industry. It's all about safety and meeting those super high standards. They want to know that you understand the regulations out there and you've got a system for staying compliant throughout that whole design process.
And speaking of safety, the career guide really hammers home the importance of quality control and sticking to those industry standards.
Yeah, it's crucial. It's not just about saying, oh yeah, I know about the regulations. You have to show them how you actually incorporate them into your work. Talk about your process. Do you do audits? How do you document everything for traceability? Have you worked with any regulatory agencies before? These are all things that show that commitment to compliance.
And this seems like a good spot to mention RoleCatcher's AI-powered CV builder, because it can actually help you highlight your experience with regulatory compliance in a way that gets you noticed, both by those human recruiters and those pesky applicant tracking systems.
You've got to get noticed. It's a jungle out there.
Okay, ready for question number 3? It is. Describe your experience with product testing and validation.
All right, now this sounds like the hands-on stuff.
This is it. They want to know about your testing approach, your process, how you ensure that your data is accurate and reliable, the whole 9 yards.
So developing testing protocols, conducting the actual tests, analyzing the results, troubleshooting any issues that come up, I imagine.
Exactly. And be ready to discuss the specific tools and technologies you've used, too.
I bet attention to detail is super important here.
It's key, totally. They want to see that you're thorough and that you get how important it is to have accurate, reliable results.
It all comes back to patient safety. 100%. And speaking of presentation, RoleCatcher actually has a really cool video practice feature with AI feedback. You can practice your answers and get feedback on your delivery. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Confidence is key. Okay, let's move on to question number 4. How do you approach troubleshooting technical issues related to medical devices? This one sounds like a real challenge.
It can be, yeah, but it's also a great chance to really shine.
Okay, so how do you recommend tackling it?
Think about a time when you faced a really tricky technical issue and then walk them through your process. How did you figure out what the problem was? What steps did you take to find the root cause? Did you have to think outside the box? Did you collaborate with others? Show them your critical thinking skills in action.
It's like being a medical device detective.
Exactly. And remember, collaboration is huge in this field. The career guide talks about how medical device engineering technicians often work in cross-functional teams, so showing that you can communicate well and problem solve with others is a big plus.
Okay, on to question number 5. How do you ensure the safety of medical devices during the design and development process? This seems kind of similar to the compliance question, but with an even stronger emphasis on safety.
You got it. They want to hear that safety is your absolute top priority. This is where you can dive into risk assessments, safety features, and how you build those considerations into every single stage.
So safety is baked into your whole approach, not just tacked on at the end.
Exactly. And this is a good time to mention any relevant certifications you might have too, like the Certified Biomedical Equipment Technician, or CBE, and the Certified Medical Equipment Technician, CME. The career guide mentions those.
All right, so it shows you're not just saying safety first. You've got the knowledge to back it up. What kind of follow-up question could come after this one?
They might ask for a specific example, like, tell me about a time you found a potential safety hazard during the design process and how you handled it. Have a good story ready that shows you're proactive about safety.
That's another place where RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be super helpful. It helps you tailor your answers to really hit on those key points that interviewers are looking for. Ready for number 6.
Bring it on.
How do you approach collaboration and communication within a cross-functional team? All right, time to talk teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work in this field. You're going to be working with engineers, medical professionals, other technicians, all sorts of people. They want to see that you get team dynamics, that you contribute effectively, and that you can handle any conflicts or challenges that might come up.
So how do you show that you're a team player without just saying, I work well with others?
Think back to a project where you had to work with a bunch of different people. How did you make sure everyone was on the same page? How did you handle disagreements? What communication strategies did you use to keep things moving smoothly?
The career guide talks about building relationships, respecting different perspectives, and clear communication.
All essential. Now, for question 7. Describe your experience with medical device manufacturing processes. This is where we get into the nuts and bolts of production.
Okay, so this is where we talk about things like assembly lines, quality control, those specific manufacturing techniques.
Exactly. Have you worked with automated systems? Do you have any clean room experience? Have you ever had to troubleshoot a production line issue? This is your chance to highlight those technical skills and show how meticulous you are.
And RoleCatcher can really help make sure your resume highlights those experiences in a way that catches the eye of potential employers.
Definitely. Okay, you ready for question 8?
Hit me.
How do you approach the design and development of medical devices for specific patient populations?
This is where it gets really interesting, right? Now we're talking about the human impact of these devices.
Exactly. Different patient populations have different needs. You've got to think about their age, their physical abilities, even cultural sensitivities, all of those things when you're designing a device.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Not at all. Like a device for an elderly patient might need bigger buttons or simpler controls, just as an example.
And a device for a child might need to be super durable or maybe a little more fun to look at.
Exactly. It's all about understanding those unique needs and designing accordingly.
So how do you convey that understanding in an interview setting?
Talk about your experience with patient-centered design principles. Have you done any user research, to get feedback from patients? Have you ever had to adapt a device for someone with limited mobility? What about cultural factors influencing your design choices?
The career guide really stresses empathy, understanding the challenges that different patient groups face. This is where your passion for helping people can really shine through.
Absolutely. All right, are you ready for the final question?
Bring it on. Let's hear it.
Okay, here we go. Describe your experience with product lifecycle management tools and techniques.
This one seems pretty broad. What are they really getting at here?
What's interesting about this question is that it goes beyond just focusing on one task. and tests your understanding of the bigger picture. So they want to know if you can see how your work fits into the entire life of a medical device.
I see. So from that initial idea to design and development, to manufacturing, marketing, sales, even that post-market surveillance, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
So talk about the tools and software you've used to manage those different phases. Think about things like requirements management, design collaboration, testing and validation, quality management systems, that sort of thing.
So it's not just knowing the names of the tools, but it's about how you've used them to actually improve things, whether that's efficiency, communication, or quality control. Can you give us some examples of that?
Sure. Have you used a project management tool to track progress and keep everyone on schedule? Have you ever had to contribute to a risk assessment document?
And I bet RoleCatcher's AI can help you figure out which tools and techniques to highlight based on the specific job you're applying for.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we just went through 9 interview questions. You're probably feeling like you just went through a marathon.
I know I am.
But hopefully we've given you some really solid strategies for how to tackle those questions and show off your skills and experience.
And practice makes perfect, right?
Absolutely. And don't forget about all those resources that RoleCatcher offers. Their platform can give you that personalized feedback on your answers, help you tailor your CV and resume, and even give you tips on your delivery.
Like having a career coach right in your pocket.
Exactly. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore in the world of medical device engineering.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we're going to dive deeper into career paths and all those growth opportunities, as well as how RoleCatcher can help you navigate this exciting field.
Welcome back. Ready to keep diving into the world of medical device engineering technicians.
Absolutely. Part 1, we really dug into those interview questions. Now, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about the bigger picture, the career itself. What really stood out to you from the career guide?
It's fascinating how this field sits right at that intersection of cutting edge technology and compassionate healthcare.
Yeah.
You're not just building machines, you're actually playing a role in improving people's lives.
That's such a good point, and I bet that's something you could really tap into during an interview. Show them that you understand the impact of your work, that you're not just there for a paycheck, but you're passionate about making a difference.
Exactly. And it kind of goes back to that last question we were talking about. How do you approach the design and development of medical devices for specific patient populations? It really highlights that human element.
Right. We were talking about patient-centered design and how crucial it is to consider the unique needs of different groups of people.
And it's not just theoretical. The career guide mentions that medical device engineering technicians often work directly with patients, especially when they're installing or maintaining equipment.
So you get that real-world feedback.
Yeah, you see firsthand how a device is actually impacting someone's life.
So to really nail that interview question, you need to go beyond just saying, oh, I'd make the buttons bigger. You have to show that you've thought about the user experience from different angles.
Exactly. Have you ever adapted a device for a patient with limited mobility? Or maybe you've had a situation where a patient's cultural background influenced how they felt about a device. Those are the kinds of stories that are going to make your answer stand out.
It shows you can think critically, creatively, to find solutions that work for all sorts of people. And it ties into something else that the career guide mentioned, that continuous learning is so important in this field. I mean, medical technology is constantly evolving. You got to keep up.
Absolutely. It's a fast-paced field, and the career guide suggests going to conferences, joining those professional organizations, even contributing to open source projects to keep your skills sharp. It's all about being a lifelong learner, which I'm sure you are if you're listening to this deep dive.
For sure. Okay, so last time you mentioned that we were on the last question from RoleCatcher's interview guide. Are you ready to tackle it?
Let's do it.
All right, here it is. Describe your experience with product lifecycle management tools and techniques. This one seems kind of broad. What are they really trying to figure out here?
It's interesting because it goes beyond specific tasks, It really tests if you understand the big picture. They want to see if you can see how your work fits into the entire journey of a medical device.
So from the very beginning, that initial idea all the way through to actually using it, and even when it becomes outdated.
Exactly. So you'll want to talk about the tools and software you've used to manage all those different phases. Things like requirements management, design collaboration, testing, validation, even stuff like post-market surveillance.
Wow, that is a lot.
It is a lot. Think of some specific examples, like, did you use a project management tool to keep everyone on track? Did you ever have to contribute to a risk assessment document?
And it's not just about knowing what the tools are called. It's about how you actually use them to make a positive impact, like maybe improving efficiency or communication or even quality control.
Exactly. The interviewer wants to see that you get how everything fits together and that you've used those tools to contribute to a successful product lifecycle.
And I bet RoleCatcher's AI can help you figure out which tools are the most relevant to mention based on the specific job you're going for.
For sure, it's all about tailoring your answers to highlight the skills and experience that match up with what the employer is looking for.
Okay, wow. We just went deep on those 9 interview questions.
Yeah.
It was a lot to cover,
Yeah,
but I hope it's helped you feel more prepared and confident.
me too. And remember, practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. And don't forget about all those awesome resources that RoleCatcher has. Their platform can give you personalized feedback, help tailor your CV and resume, even give you tips on your delivery.
It's like having your own personal career coach.
It really is. And you know what? This is only the beginning. There's still so much more to explore in the amazing world of medical device engineering.
There is.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve into career paths, all those growth opportunities, and how RoleCatcher can help you navigate this incredible field. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the world of medical device engineering technicians.
It's been a pretty amazing journey, wouldn't you say?
Totally. We've covered so much ground, from those tough interview questions to the whole idea of designing with patients in mind, and of course that whole product lifecycle thing. Whoa! But there's one more thing we got to talk about.
Career paths and growth opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it gets really exciting, because the medical device industry is constantly evolving.
Oh, yeah. Always changing, always something new. So many new doors opening all the time.
That's what I love about it. The Career Guide actually highlighted just how fast technology is advancing in this field. Things that seemed like they were straight out of science fiction just a few years ago are becoming a reality now.
It's true. It's mind-blowing.
I was just reading about robotic-assisted surgery, implantable sensors that can track your vital signs, like in real time, even personalized prosthetics, that are custom-made for each person's body.
And all those advancements are creating this huge demand for skilled medical device engineering technicians. As tech gets more complex, they need more people who can build it, install it, keep it running smoothly.
So it seems like it's a pretty awesome time to be getting into this field. So anyone listening who's feeling pumped and ready to take that next step, what advice does the Career Guide have for navigating all those growth opportunities?
It really emphasizes being proactive, seeking out chances to grow professionally. That might mean going back to school a bit, getting some extra certifications, or maybe getting involved in industry groups, that kind of thing.
Right, like networking and stuff.
Yeah.
The guide specifically mentioned the Certified Biomedical Equipment Technician Certification, the CBET. They said that's a really valuable one. Could open a lot of doors to new roles and more responsibility.
Definitely a good one to have on your resume. And it's not just about checking off those formal boxes. It's about having that mindset of always learning, always growing. Go to those conferences, read what's happening in the industry, even find yourself a mentor, someone you can learn from. All those things will help you stay ahead of the curve.
So basically, you got to be a lifelong learner, kind of like what you're doing right now by listening to this deep dive.
Exactly. You got it. This industry is all about innovation, so if you're someone who loves learning new things, tackling those tough challenges, you're going to fit right in.
That's great to hear. And of course, we can't forget about RoleCatcher. They can play a huge role in helping you map out your career path, right?
Oh, absolutely. Their AI platform is pretty amazing. It can analyze your skills, your experience, and suggest jobs that might be a perfect fit, certifications to boost your resume, even networking opportunities.
Sounds like it's like having a personal career advisor right there on your phone.
Pretty much. Before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to leave our listeners with one last thought. Something to ponder,
I love a good thought-provoking question. Hit me with it.
Okay, so as you're starting out on your journey in this field, ask yourself this. What are some of the biggest challenges facing the medical device industry right now? And how do you see yourself being part of the solution?
Wow, that's a powerful question. It really makes you think bigger, beyond just those everyday tasks.
Right. It's about how you can contribute, make a real difference. And it shows potential employers that you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for a career that has meaning, that makes an impact.
That's such a great point. Well, I think we've covered just about everything in this deep dive into the world of medical device engineering technicians. We've gone from the nitty-gritty of interview prep to this incredible vision of shaping the future of healthcare.
It's been quite a ride.
To our listener, I hope you're feeling informed, inspired, and ready to take on this awesome field.
Remember, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives. Go out there, embrace the challenges, never stop learning.
And don't forget about RoleCatcher. They're here to support you every step of the way. With their AI-powered tools and resources, you'll have what you need to nail that interview, launch your career, and reach your full potential in this really dynamic and rewarding field.
Best of luck out there. We can't wait to see what you accomplish.